From yesterday, right? Session 1 of Escape the Matrix, I laid the foundation of what I call the matrix. I just made it very easy to understand to say any system or structure or organization that is built around making you believe certain things, think a certain way, behave a certain way, okay, that is not to your full capacity, that is not in your favor, that makes you live beneath your desires. And yesterday, like I have a list. So for yesterday, I was able to cover number 1, the church. So religion, it's a matrix. It makes you believe certain things, organize religion anyway. Believe certain things, think a certain way, manifest certain behavior. The choice you must exercise. Make sure that your beliefs is educated. You understand? Even in religion. Because religion also allows other people to exert power over you when you give them your even spiritual power. So religion means you give your spiritual power away and somebody else will use spiritual power to guide you. Their own thoughts can program you because you gave your whole heart, you believed them, you trusted them, you thought you said they are your leader, so you trusted your heart and mind and spirit to them. And part of breaking out of that matrix is the exercise of your spiritual will that God gave you was not to outsource your spiritual decision making to another man. That's the issue. But organized religion makes you believe that they know better than you, and so you must do what they want you to do because they have ascended into the heavens. They know God more than you. Listen, there's a lot of stuff there. If you believe them, and if you outsourced your spiritual growth, and if you did not study to show yourself approved, you are lazy spiritually, and other people's spiritual exercise becomes the nutrition you're feeding yourself with. Whatever they pour in you, you become. So part of breaking out of religiosity as organized by man is make sure you connect directly to the source of all knowledge, God. Make sure you know God yourself. Because knowing him from yourself is when you can call a spade a spade. That's when you can know the truth. The truth will set you free. And no matter whose title comes with lie and tries to govern your life, you know how to say, no, sir, kiss you. Because people use titles, positioning to exert influence on people they are supposed to guide to God. They are guiding people to me. I'm your this, I'm your this. It's become a matrix now, created by man. Meanwhile, the real religion, Christian faith, is saying, right, the way Christian faith is designed, Jesus said, Peter, feed my sheep. Any spiritual leader in the Christian faith, that's the one I know, okay? Their assignment is to feed you and connect you to God. That's the assignment they have, is to teach you God's expectation for you and for you to learn and grow and mature. But the matrix has become, hey, see me. People now use spiritual knowledge to exert, I'm powerful. Well, if you put your head under them, yes, they will exert power over you because you are not powerful. Breaking out of that matrix is for you to have your own spiritual power, because everybody's supposed to have spiritual power when you are connected to the source of power, right? And you're supposed to have spiritual knowledge so that you exert your will over the earth. That's your growth. That's spiritual maturity. But God knows not everybody's there. So he appointed people to help you grow. He appointed people to nurture you into spiritual greatness. He appointed people he trusted. He entrusted souls in the hands of spiritual leaders. He said, care for my sheep. Care for the people I died for. Care for them. But is everybody on the assignment? Does every spiritual leader understand this assignment? So you, please, don't make assumption. Don't go to sleep and show up to church and think that everything they're feeding you 100%, you must download into your spirit and soul. Okay, so I talked at length on religion, church, the matrix man has created, but I also shared, listen, the kingdom of God does not yield. It has its laws. Men is supposed to abide by the laws. Men are supposed to teach you the laws. Men are supposed to study the laws and then manifest it. And God's kingdom has depth of knowledge. So many people can have depth level 1 and build a church, build on level 1. Everybody in that church, we only know level 1 of God. And that's their matrix. And they'll be praying certain prayer, behaving a certain way, talking a certain way. That's their matrix. But if they go deeper, you say, level 2. You expand, you grow. Level 3, level 4. So if you keep digging the realms of God, it's never ending. But people can build religion or whatever. They can build church on whatever level they have bothered to study. And so people can be stuck on level 1 for 30 years. And listen, they manifest level 1 belief, level 1 reality. And so everybody behaves that way. Life is this way, behave this way, you get these results. Meanwhile, it doesn't mean there's no more depth in God. This is eternal life. That you know God and Jesus Christ is sent. Like that's a quote where, so knowledge has depth. Power has strength. So if you get more knowledge, you're given more power. You get more knowledge, you're given more power. Because now you know what to do with power. But who is responsible for helping you grow your knowledge and expand your power? When people outsource it, they fall into the matrix of whoever, the thoughts, beliefs, behaviors of whoever they fall into the hands of. That's it. That's their life. Okay? And then number 2, we covered culture. How culture forms a matrix and feeds people. Behave this way, do this way. If you do this, then you get this. If you don't do this, then this, then that. And then they make you vibrate. You vibrate at the frequency of your culture. And so your body knows, hey, you want to do this? Culture said, don't do it, right? So culture is an indoctrination. And so there are different cultures by different people. But my question is, study your culture. Is it setting you free or making you more powerless? That means the people who rule over people in those cultures came up with the culture scripts, impregnated everybody in that culture. Everybody is vibrating and doing the will of the people who wrote the script. The people who wrote the script will keep going higher, 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 more power, more power, more power. And everybody under that script will be losing power, losing power, losing power. But if the culture is built on justice, freedom, setting you free, independent, then the people will be set free. But if the culture is, stay small, keep in a box, you are talking too much. So they weigh people down with the stories of manifesting the expectations of culture. And so that culture becomes the matrix that keeps them vibrating. They're choking under the weight of cultural expectations no man was designed to live by. But who built those shackles? People who want to dominate and rule over people without being questioned, without being responsible. So you will find people who don't want to be accountable, who don't want to be responsible, who don't want people to question them. They will cultivate a culture that mutes everybody under them, disempowered people that cannot talk up, and they set themselves as mini gods, reverence, held in such high, and people under them don't know it is your energy they are using to rise up above you. It is you carrying them higher. And part of escaping that thing is to remove your energy and put it and say, I ain't carrying nobody. You sit where you are. All people have to do is just remove your hand. I call it unsubscribe. When you study culture, is it helping you? Is it helping you become more powerful who God wants you to be? Or is it still, all you have to do from that channel. That's it. That's all you have to do. To see it for what it is and call it out and say, hey, I unsubscribe. I do no longer subscribe to this narrative and I remove my energy from it. I'm not producing or vibrating what it wants me to vibrate. Bye. People will be like, Coach, hey, you're not doing good. Ah, you hear sounds. Over time, you realize the sound will quiet itself when you escape. The further away you are from the noise, you don't hear the noise anymore. So the day you say, I unsubscribe, you start speaking, come back, don't go. This culture has benefited you. This culture is a good culture. This culture makes, just keep running. Run. When you break out, don't wait for it. You still be hearing the noise of the people still in that place. I say, once you are waking, your joy is to run. Because the further away you are from that script, you won't hear the noise anymore. Because it takes courage. Because that noise will say, come back. They'll be chasing you. Just keep running. Press the accelerator. And run. Escape from the matrix. It's don't look back. If God is saying Sodom and Gomorrah, this is not the, don't look back. He turned to Saul. Don't look back. God will just say, break. Turn your phone off. Go off grid. They don't have your number anymore. Culture cannot call you anymore. And then subscribe to the culture that sets you free. Right? What God is, if you listen to God, if you cultivate relationship with God, God always, it sounds, always lands in your spirit, and it sounds freedom. Right? It is for freedom Christ has set us free. So we covered those two, right? And today, you see, Miss Chisholm, you see where my eyes water. You remember when I was starting, I was calling, bring me ice. Now I need it. Because I'm so excited for today. Okay? So number 3 of Escape the Matrix is family of origin. And so you will see now why the psychological emotional assessment, the workbook, right? So the 4 workbooks in this room, in the emotional processing, emotional healing, right, room, the one that talks about family of origin psychological assessment. Okay, you will now see why it's so important. And then I will share with you, I'll tell you what it is. So I want you to just laugh, and which knowledge will help us just relax more. Okay, and then I'll wrap today's up with effective strategies for breaking out of the matrix. And then we'll talk. So from time to time, I'll bring people and then we'll engage, because this is very practical. Okay, see, I'm already like okay. So the your family of origin, number 1, sets the energetic blueprint. Okay? Energetic blueprint, energetic foundation upon which you build your life. Right? 4th dimension. So you come in spiritual. The 3rd dimension, your body needs to be trained. 4th dimension, who are you? Right? Your behavior, your thoughts, your beliefs. In the thought, this is what holds the spiritual side and connects it to the body. Decisions in the middle. So you are born where somebody else makes a decision and a pronouncement. This is your name. Right? When this name is called, that's you. Okay? That's the first thing. How many days after every child is born? The identifier of how you respond to sound. You are energetic, but they are programming how your energy vibrates when you hear a sound. That's your name. You respond. When they say, this is your name, who gave you your name? This is where God gives responsibility for people to program your energetic vibration. So the first one you're going to see is your name. And what is your name? When other people want to call you and get your attention, and they want you to respond positively and hold an identifier and program yourself that this is your name and agree, right? It's based on your agreement. You can't resist. I'll tell you a story. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to race through this. Even if I need to make this into 2 sessions, family of origin into 2 sessions, I'll do that. Because so many things are coming up here. So they gave you a name. That name means something to the people who gave it to you. And they want it to mean something to you. And so the first programming is your energy responds positively to name. So when they call the name and you hear the sound of your name, your vibration responds positively to your name. And so it's you cherish that. What came up was that because I want, when some things come up, I can decide, oh no, it's not right. But let me just share an example. Because part of the promise of this session is I'll give you practical tips. I'll share stories. I'll make it more. I'm not going to rush through it because this is too intimate, too important. So I'll give you an example. This just came to me. When I was moving from primary school, moving into boarding school, into secondary school, I remember making a choice within myself, and I exacted it. I switched the order of my name. This is where your will. I've always been a very intuitive. My spiritual side has been very activated from a very young child. So even now, I'm like, oh! So this is at 9, 10 years old. Okay? I was leaving the house and I'm moving into a boarding school 5 hours away. So I lived in boarding school for 6, we'll come home by. And in that moment, while we were on the way in the car, I vibrated in my middle and say, I'm going to shift an identity. People at home, they call me a name. When I go into this school, I want them to call me another name. I flipped my name. So the name they were calling me at home, I said I'm going to live a new life away from home. A small child, 10-ish. That would be what did they call grade 3, 4? Is that the ish? In the car as we were driving, I just said, as I'm going into my new life, I'm going to live under a new name. And so for the next 6 years, okay, in that school, everybody I went to, secondary school, high school, middle school, with, they didn't know the name my parents at home. The name Toyin that everybody calls me now is the name I picked from the, African parents give recipe a name, or a lot, this name, right? The one they were calling me, I said, no, I will pick this one. And this is what, and this is Toyin is the one I picked for myself. That it would be my primary name. And so in secondary school, everybody I went to school with, that's what, they don't know the other name. But every time I go on holiday, I go home, my people, they will call me the other one. Right? Now, here's what also happened. When it was time to go to college, I'm taking time to explain this thing so that people understand this is real. When it was time to get to college, now what happens is I came back home for college. And not only that, I went to the college where my parents are leaders in that college, in that university. So something happened. I remember vividly. When I came to the college, I still want people in the college calling me by the name I picked, Toyin. But guess what? I'm coming to the school. Everybody knows my parents. They know the name my parents call me. And so when I just got into that college, one person that works with my mom said, she called me by the name my parents called me. I didn't respond. She called. And she said, is that not your name? I said, oh Lord, what am I going to do in this place now? I want to be called Toyin. But my parents called, right? So this is what I did all through my college. I allowed people to call me parents, family of origin name. However, every document, anything I signed, any coursework, I will write Oluwatoyin, my initials, my documentation, everything in that school. I wrote it with the name I want to bear. But when they are calling me on the streets, they call me. So I had to be changing. My mind was like, dual. People will call me my family, I'll say fine. But when I'm writing my exam, I will write the one I want them to call me. And so all my documentation, that's why when I now left university and came in for my master's, guess what I came in? And when I escaped again from family of origin matrix, guess which name is on my passport or my master's degree in US? Guess which name you are calling me now? The one I want. Exercise of a will. Till today, anybody. So now there's now something happening. It has happened a long time, but now I laugh at it. I remember years ago. So on Facebook, group of people will be searching for family of origin name and my maiden name. Another group of people will be searching for my high school name. So I'll find people say, is that you? Your picture looks like this person I know, but the name you're signing, I had many laughs. You know, when Facebook just came through, people were connecting. They will look at my face. They will say, is this not this person we went to university with that we call this name? Her last name has changed. She's married. So they knew me by my family of origin name and my, what's it called? Maiden name. But here is the picture. The picture looks like a certain person, but her first name and last name is strange. I'm like, that's fine. Why did I say that? Name matters. Something in me that I till today, right? There's no. It must be my spiritual side that was shaking something off. It must be, looking back now, is that I exercised a will that yes, they call me this, they call me that, they call me that, they call me that. Something in me said, I'm going to choose the one that sounds I like that I want people to call me. The name I want people to call me. I still picked from their recipe of, so it's on my birth certificate, but I flipped it and I made my primary name outside of my home, outside of my family of origin. I changed my name. And so I'm leaving out the name that I want people to call me. And I've cemented it. And the name they call me is still my name. And it means something very dear. However, probably the last time I owned the name they named me was maybe in my primary school, maybe 9 years below. Now, I don't know what God was doing, because today, whatever thoughts my family has of me, they think it's in the name they gave me. I'm not activated by that name. I own the name, but it doesn't vibe. I've trained my body to respond to the name I desire. But they talk to me from the name they gave me. So there's a split. It's just today now, as I'm speaking to this, that I remembered and I'm realizing that must have been a God moment in my life of breaking free from something that helping me make a decision and exercise over something as basic as name. Because you will notice in the Bible, names are important. God changed people's name. Saul, Paul, Abraham, Sarah. So, I'm not concluding. I'm just saying this is an interesting one. I just remembered now that I actually, at a very young age, I decided to shake off. I decided to remove the cloak that had been put on me by family of origin of what that name meant. And I shifted it. And I picked a name and I wear that name. And I'm loving that name. And that's what I respond to. Right? That was the exercise of my will from 9-10. And that exercise, it was funny because when my parents now come to school to visit me in high school, boarding house, guess who they are looking for? I remember they came and said, find me this person. They said, there's no person with that name here. Ah, Jesus. And they're like, we dropped off a child with this name. Oh, but when they look at the last name, it's okay, last name is makes sense. But this first name you are giving us, there's nobody with that first name here. But we have Toyin. And so they'll go and find Toyin. When my mom, the first time this happened, my people used to say, we were looking for you. They said nobody is here with that name. I said, I just brushed it off. So I lived the life I wanted to do in boarding school with that name. And even up until now, the name I carry is the name I picked for myself. Among the names, again, they give you a recipe of names, they prioritize one, but I picked something to just ponder. I'm thinking through it. So again, the vibration of your energy, name, is one of those things. They call you, they put as an imprint, and you respond to, and you thinking, and life calls you what your parents called you. But like I shared in the Bible, when God picks you up and wants to shift something, one of the things God changes is, the things I want to do in your life, I need you to be answering and vibrating in this dimension. So God has used this principle in the Bible to rename people. Vibrate and hear the sound and let the sound mean something to you. And usually God gives them a name that is tied to destiny. Okay, so let's go back to, I just gave you a story. I'm going to give more practical things. So now, what other way do they form your vibration, your energetic vibration? The other way is that your mother's energetic vibration is poured into you, kept in DNA. Your father's energetic vibration is poured into you. You vibrate like them. They've given you their power. Because all of who they are, they give it to you. The people who carried you, who cooled you, who fed you, they touched you. Who they are, they pour inside you. So you received all of who they are. What then happens is that, you may not use everything they gave you, may not be activated when you're a child. So you can be carrying their vibration. This is where later in life, things can start turning on. Recessive genes, activation, things can start activating and opening based on if you have similar experiences or encounter certain things they encountered, soon enough, you are not wondering what to do. You will do what they did. Okay? So, even if everything has not been activated, it doesn't mean it's not there. You may not have encountered, so for example, when you are single, you will be living out, you single activated. The moment you become married and life pressures you with responsibility and challenges you to respond to life with an enlarged capacity, you know what will turn on? Abilities of your parents will start turning on. The type of mom that they are turns on. You need it. You are not clueless. So that you are not clueless, you become your mom. You become your dad. You become this. When you show up to an office and they want you to behave a certain way, the dormant behavior that is stored inside your DNA, when you need it, it will open. You don't have to train yourself in behavior to behave like your parents. It's there. You become like them when you arrive at their state life markers. So many things show up the older you get. Things that have been there, okay, that life has not told you to produce. That's why a lot of awakening, you see certain things more, 30s, 40s, 50s, health issues, right? You now see things turning on, and you're like, you go for checkup, you go for this, you start encountering, because now their genes, their behavior, the things that you've never had it, but it's been there, but then it starts activating, turning on. So I'm saying, at childhood, you receive all the encoding you get from your father, you get from your mother. You may be looking at them and say, oh, look at your hairline. You can be saying your daddy is okay. Just wait till you are 40 before it shakes shapes. You can be a small child and be observing your parents, say, oh, your eyes, your this. Wait a minute, that's activated. You still have a baby face. Your hair is still long. Wait, stop 50 and look in the mirror. You will see them staring back. Right? You will now see who you saw when you were a certain age, looking at them. You were observing them, but you are observing yourself. You were taking on their identity. When you arrive where you were seeing them, look in the mirror. They will be expressed. Right? So you become your parents by default. By default, vibrationally. Which other way? Let me see if I should tell you a story. Okay, I'll share. Again, that's why I said, looking at it, I'm not going to rush it. I'll let this cook very, very well. I'm not going to rush it. Let me give you a story. So when I talk about the psychological assessment, one of the things you need to then assess is what strengths did you inherit in your vibration that is influencing how you behave, and then also understand their unfinished business. That is your unfinished business. I'll give you an example because I want you to do this for yourself. So I will give you an example. My late father, one of the most beautiful things, many things, but just pick primary or one or two things and then hone it. So, because you have to manage your strengths and then the weakness, you have to close the books. Okay, so one of the things I inherited from my dad that was very strong, I still very, very, very strong, is an expectation and a belief that, listen, if I drop you in the middle of any group of people, I expect you to rise to the top. Like school. Like, I drop you in junior from bed, I drop you in this class of 35 people. When all is said and done, when you come home, I expect you to be number one. You come home with something else, we will have a conversation. Who set that expectation? My dad. Children didn't set it. This is part of the programming. I was programmed that you land in a class, make sure you work to get to, make sure you work hard enough to understand everything they are teaching you plus more. So that when they're asking you questions, you are delivering answers. So that you're not, because when they ask you a question and you don't have answer, guess what they will be doing on your report card? X. When life asks you a question and you don't have the answer, X. So study enough to know the answer, so that they will be giving you like this. You know the answer. You know the answer. You know the answer. So store in your system the answer to the question. Study the book. Know the answer. So when the teacher asks you, hey, you want all this 100%. Expectation. Expectation. The day in secondary school I came back or something, I came with third place. I had a conversation. Listen, come. This report card, what happened? I was like, Daddy, there are some two boys. They know so much. They're so smart, intelligent. They took 1 and 2. At least I'm number 3 or 4. He just said no. He said no. I will not accept this. Next semester, work harder. You need to just apply yourself more. They are not smarter than you. They don't have to. No, I will not accept. He didn't accept. He didn't accept me to drop. I'm not talking about average or pass mark. He set an expectation. If you're going to do anything again, get yourself to the top. Become the best. Don't give me any excuse why you are not the best in your class. Imagine if that expectation is set for a class, for a child. How the child will vibrate, who the child will be, the spirit of excellence, the audacity to move. You drop me anywhere, we are going to the top. It's a programming. Not everybody is programmed to function that way. So, Ed girl, anyway, just find your way to the top. That's the expectation. Listen, don't give an excuse. Somebody did this, the teacher did. When I was young, there was another exam. When I got on, when I was maybe 6 or 7 years, I remember. So that you know it's a programming. I came with a class. Maybe I got 19 out of 30. And I said, that thing was so tough. I got above everybody else. So I got 19 out of 30 questions. See how I remember 7-year-old, 8. It was a program. My dad said, go and bring that. Sit down. Take your pencil. Do this exam again in front of me. And he had ready go. You know what I'm talking about? Sit down. He sat on the floor. Like we had this terrazzo tile. He sat on the floor. Oh yeah, you sit too. This exam you got 19. That you didn't get all this under. Redo this thing in front of me. Right there in front of me with ping, 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 ready to land. I redid it. I got all the answer. Right there. You know what he told me? He said you were hasty. It's not that you didn't have the answer. It's that you were rushing. See, in my presence, you just got the answer. So it's not that you didn't have the answer inside you. And he taught me a lesson. He said, listen, let this be a lesson. He told me that lesson that day. It changed my life. But he proved something for me, that under this pressure I'm going to apply on you, you will find that answer inside you. You will deliver it to me. I will let you go. I delivered the answer. She was like, why were you not doing that in class? You knew the answer. This plus this times this. So when you're in class, better, whether you're under pressure, make sure you steady yourself. Solve the problem. So I had a math major. So my first degree is mathematics. Math pressures people to answer equations. And the moment you start, people don't get, not because people cannot solve those things, because they are not steady enough to use their mind to process the question. They are so like, and then so most people don't get the answers in math. Not because they don't know the answer or they cannot find the answer, because your mind can find anything for you. Most of it is vibration. When you're under pressure, who do you become? Does your mind become emotional, or does it become a problem-solving machine? That's the major difference, is that the pressure to perform, many people, it's also what leads to people procrastinating, because life will always tell you, there's a question, there's something, perform, get the answer. But if you go emotional, maybe the teacher say, oh, this is the consequence. And then people go emotional. That means they can't bring their mind back to handle pressure and to put their mind and say, solve this. Don't like to drown away the noise of the world and to be able to solve. That's one of the things I'm saying here that I'm learning even, is that emotion can throw people off. Not because they don't have the capacity to address things in life. When they go emotionally negative, they lose their processing, right? So when my dad had the stuff, I still, in his presence, I still had a relationship of love. You see, So I did not, so in his presence, I think maybe in his presence, even though he was saying, I will give, even in his presence, I was still solving, right? I was like, I will solve this, I will solve this. He taught me that, in class, focus on solving, don't focus on the emotional, anything, anyway. So that's the strength. However, that strength, it pushes people into perfectionism. It pushes people into so many things. It shows up in business. It shows up in many ways. So over years, I've had to drop a lot of the negative side of this thing and still hold on. So I allow myself to hold myself. In fact, in first year, going from secondary school to year one in college, something also transformed inside me. For entire secondary school, primary school, I was handling academics to please my dad, to get my dad's approval, because that was his expectation. Something shifted in me by year one, year two of university, and I went, wait a minute, I'm not going to school for this man. I'm going to go to school for myself. Even though he's challenging me, be excellent, and I'm driven to please him. Hey, I actually woke up and realized, wait a minute, being in school is for my own. So I broke myself. Year one, year two of university, I broke away from that expectation he has put on me on excellence. And then I did it for me, no longer for him. In fact, I didn't used to show him my results anymore, because in university now, you don't have to print anything. You are just moving from level 1, level 2, level 3, and all he wants to know is you are moving. Or you just give him the aggregates of, are you level 1? You just tell him aggregate. You don't have to print anything. I didn't have to show him, because imagine showing your father at college level, still seeking their approval over your grades. I broke it. I broke that thing, level 1, level 2. I took on my personal, who do I want to be? How do I want to? And then I decided I wanted to have fun. I wanted to be more relaxed with academics, obviously excellent, but I didn't have this, but I balanced it. And so even when I graduated top of my class, but I did not graduate with what I know I have the potential to graduate, because I shifted my personality around being a well-rounded person, because there are consequences of just continuing to pursue number one, but not having friends, only reading books, but not enjoying life, not going out to have fun, not relaxing. I say, university, I will relax. So I had friends, I lived a well-rounded life, and the gift that I then had was, I might play. A day 2 to the exam, I'll just relax. I'll catch up. I'll go to class. I'm fine. Because I already had a natural disposition for what I was studying. So I did not have to apply myself. I decided not to apply myself and to be pushed to such extremes where all I'm thinking about is book. And then people are having fun. And your life is like, hey, my daddy. I removed that vibration year 1, year 2 of college. So I passed top of my stuff, but I did not go all into academic, because I had a life. I have friends. I go out to my friend's house. I did many things instead of just immersing myself in book only. So God did that for me, because I can only imagine now. Many people are still under that pressure that they don't have a life. They don't go out. They don't have fun. They don't hang out with friends. Book the entire 4 years, they'll come and deliver. So, but their life shaping, the shaping of friendship, of community, of engaging with other people, they abandoned that because they were trying to please only one person. They didn't live a well-rounded life. So that's another thing. But I acknowledge it. That's why I say, tell your story and make it land in a peaceful place. Okay, I'm looking at time. Okay, on my mom's side, the positive, listen, my mom is fierce. She's a bulldog. She listens to no one. She goes, she listens to no one. She does anything she wants to do. Don't stand in my mom's way. Nobody can stand. There is advantage to it. You have to manage it. She doesn't listen to nobody for nothing. I want this, I get it. I want this, she's a free woman, free spirit. I mean, trust me, she's a free spirit. You cannot tell her to sit here. Sit here. You cannot tell her she cannot. Anything she wants, she will have. She's gritty. She's fierce. She's a bulldog. She has a bone. You can't call it. You can be talking to her. She will answer. She lives in her own world of, listen, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And then when she finishes, she'll not say, oh, okay, I'm back to your life. What's going on in your life? I've been living my own life. Whew! That thing has advantages, but boy, you also, this is where God will tell us, submit your will under God's will. That's where my Christian faith has helped me manage that side. Because when you now study scripture, like, you can be so sure, but Bible says, right, there's a way that may seem right to a man, but the end thereof. So that end thereof, that's where God has worked on me. I've allowed God to work on me, is that many people with that personality can be so sure they're doing the right thing, but they can arrive in the wrong place. That's why I call people out, like, be aware of these things. So because of my Christian maturity level, I'm very, very, very careful what I pursue. that's managing it. I'm very, very careful what I pursue. Continue. So then, as a mom size, grit, fierceness, like go, managing, yeah, balancing. It's a strength. It's a piercing strength. It's a force. It's a strong will. Right? Listen, you pierce, right, and it allows you to crush, and nothing stands in your way. Even if it tries, your will, your power, push. I got that from my mom. Oh, I saw it. Hey, you can't tell my mom nothing. She is strong-willed. But it's a management that comes out of wisdom. When you are wise, you will manage your strengths. And I've had to sharpen myself, pray more. So I pray harder. Before I start something, before I start going here, my own thing is, I make sure I listen very well before I go. And if God says stop, I listen. I tune my ears to listen to what God is saying, because I know that I have that in me. And so you don't want to waste your energy, waste yourself pursuing what assignment God didn't give you. And that's why when many people invite me here, I'm like, that's the same thing Jesus will do. Oh, come here. He will say, you go. You see, you say you go, he says it's not my time. So your spiritual side can govern what you even inherited as a strength. Wisdom will help you know how to use it. They will tell Jesus, come here, come and show your face. It's your time, it's Passover, do this. Jesus will say, you go. But then a few minutes later, end of the day, he will now go. What is guiding him? Because you need to stay in step with the spiritual side if you're going to be wise. People who are not wise, who have this talent, they create a lot. You don't want to be on that side of, hey, doing things in the flesh just because you can. When you see the end of, because the way we are wired, once you believe something and you know how to produce it, it doesn't mean it was sanctioned or ordained or powered by God, because the exercise of your will is a choice. To make sure you are making the right choice is why you go back and say, Lord, should I go? If I go, is this a waste or is it and when God say go, listen, match that thing, accelerate, ascend, quantum leap, because why? God has already given it to you. So your job is just to go collect your stuff. I got it from my mom. But I also watched her abuse it, because that's why I had to caution myself. That's why I had to be more prayerful, more careful. It's a gifting. But because I saw somebody else not manage it, or could have managed it better. Just my opinion, because you have to be careful. Anyway, when you observe other people behave a certain way, you can learn from them what to do, what not to do, right? And so for my dad's side, excellence, pursuit, best, but that inner drive makes you spend more currency. It makes you do so many things other people would never attempt. And you hear God say, keep going, keep going. You say, I've spent myself. The school I've built. The reason you will be going inside the school and see all kinds of things and be like, who did this for years? For years. Most people out there that say they are coaches, they will just do one course and they will sit there and they'll be selling that course for life. You step into my school, you just stepped into a grocery store unending, right? Because for years, every day, I've been faithfully just downloading just that. Whether you are here, you're not here. Because there's been a day. God is saying there's a day the flood comes. Prepare for the people. For years. So the more you go into that school, you subscribe to the thing, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of resources. And more to come. That thing, you see, those two things is the only way you keep going to produce excellence. Even when you're like, you keep going. You keep going. But most people cannot sustain what it actually takes to keep being excellent for years. When nobody sees you, but people can't do it because it's an ingrained, well-practiced, it's a makeup. It's many people talk about the gene, but the gene is activated. It's the belief it's part of my inheritance. And that's what you carry. Inheritance. Behavior is part of your inheritance. It's not just money. Energetic inheritance in your DNA, copied over. The vibrational frequency of your parents, who they were. My dad was a leader in the community. He rose to the ranks. He got to the top. He handled federal funds. How his stature upon the earth was celebrated. So when he passed, something in me also activated. I'm like, listen, this is my father. This is how we live this life. You better start running a new race again. So you inherit your vibration. Please, I just told you keep going. Hey, you get to the top. Believe. Base is not okay. Matrix is not okay. You use it to tear down what is not okay in systems. In the American corporate system, I'm sitting at the top. I sit on a board. The people who sit on the board, they are people who have been CEOs of multi-billion-dollar company that they are advising public companies. Me, I'm there. They fly me in jets, treat me first class treatment, shares. I'm at the public markets. The heights of corporate America. Beyond CEO is the board. I'm sitting on the board of a public company. I'm the youngest. I'm right. And so I'm saying that part of this work makes me acknowledge it was something demonstrated in print. It's just understand the blessings you've inherited as vibrational currencies that you used to push. My dad will tell you, go do this. So many stories. I host world leaders. As a teenager, I was writing all kinds of letters, assistant to my dad. He impregnated me with his own beliefs and behavior. And he expected me to produce such. He held me to such high standards, unthinkable standard. Listen, out of this world standard, he demanded me to produce excellence that has not been seen. I will tell you. And so even when he passed, something else I will make my mother proud. That thing, God used it again to bust me beyond corporate jobs. But they are unfinished business. Each of those things has vibration. That they may have dealt with or not dealt with, that you were impregnated with before they dealt with it. If they had you when you were young, who they were when they had you is what they poured in you. They may mature. So as example, this is how it plays out. Let's say every sibling, every child experiences their parents differently. Do you know that? The first, when parents were like 20s, if they had a child, is the 20-year-old and they used to deal with that child. If they had a child when they were 50, 40, they are already tired. You know, they will not be so, they may not imprint jumpy on that child. They will be more relaxed. So my father that I enjoyed was my friend. We talked. I drove him around. We chatted. We spent so much time. So in my relationship with my dad, I learned a lot of, you know, we spent so much time. However, these other siblings, if my dad said, come, so I did so many things that by the time I was in university, he was what? If I knew where we retired, we were friends. So the vibration of him to me and how I looked at him was more friendly, cordial. We laughed together. We did many things that maybe the people who grew up when he was still firm and strict, go here, don't go here, the vibration they experienced of him will be different from the vibration high. Like every relationship also carries vibrational exchange, right? Which is what you inherit again. So your relationship, so first of all, you inherit their vibration. Second, the relationship you cultivate with them is also stored inside you. So your memory of them is what vibration you stored with what you experienced. So you are carrying around their vibration, plus you're also carrying around the vibrations you exchange. They carry yours, you carry theirs, you store it in your memory. So when you remember them, guess what you are remembering? Is emotional imprint. Because you carry a quantum computer, it stores the memory that carries the vibration, the strength. And so experiences that were pleasant will bring you peace and love and joy. So when we say love and joy and all of those things, who imprinted you with love? Who gave you joy? Who gave you the first framework, foundational framework of energetic vibration? And who didn't give you? Because this is where beliefs and programming is. Some people may not be programmed with that safety. Okay, single family homes, you get the mother's imprint, but the father's protective nature, challenging nature, pushing nature, betting greatness. If that is not there, it means that person will not have the installation of the story that will activate them into a dimension of belief and behavior. Okay? That's why I said I won't rush this one. I'm about to open it up for discussion before I go on. Should I open it here for discussion? Let me take notes, because there are some things that came to my mind. I don't want to forget. Okay. And okay, you know what? Let me introduce something and then we'll open it up. I've written this in my sequence. I wanted to talk about another relationship, but let me move this one. So when you now get married, something is activated. What you saw, not just what you saw, what you experience vibrationally in your family of origin is normalized, as settled in your being. That's what you know, that's who you are. And it also forms your expectation, because this is how life is done. It's a matrix. You carry that all those vibrations, those beliefs, those behaviors, you move it into a newly established family, certain things will be turned on. Right? New things will be turned on because you really did not know how your mom and dad related with one another. You experienced how your mom related with you. Okay? How your dad related with you. Plus the little you observed. But all the behind the scenes, because their own energetic cord of their own relationship and what binded them together is not what is binding you to them. However, when you now enter into marriage, you will activate new energetic vibration of the relationship of your mom, of the relationship of your father. You will merge with your husband the way your mom, that's the natural, I'm saying starting point. You're going to bring your mother into your marriage. The man will bring his father into the marriage because he's been taught who a man is. By how his father was. You've been taught who a woman is, how your mom was. Both will now settle their differences. Because now, vibration, you're vibrating, expecting, this is how a man should be. That's the expectation of your woman, of your mom. And then your husband comes, this is what you should be. Because he's looking at you the way he looked at his father, looked at his mom. You are looking at him. The way your mom looked at your father. Settle it. The similarities is what attracts you. The differences is what splits people apart if they cannot manage their differences. So people think they are actually starting a new marriage. No, you are continuing the legacy, the heritage. What you inherited, the line. You are marrying the family unless, and this is where the work is, unless you have the wisdom to have observed your parents enough and to have seen the positive you will bring and to say, I think I can do this better, and delete it from, or turn it off. Turn that gene off by your own decision. Say, I'm not going to activate this behavior that I don't want, but I'm activating the positive. Maybe your mom cooked. Maybe she cleaned. Maybe she programmed you to be a very good cleaner. Because she'll be like, no, what she didn't accept, you've been trained not to accept. What she accepted, you've been trained to accept. I'm saying baseline, foundational stuff. Unless you, your spiritual side, audits, unless you audit what you inherited and you shake off the ones you don't want to reproduce. Because if you don't shake it off, you reproduce it. You will attract it. You will attract a husband that will help you produce what your mom wanted produced. That's why usually over time, over a period, you start seeing your father and most people marry. That's why they say most, right? You marry what you loved of your parents. What gave you safety? What showed you love? What held you well? You marry that. And many times people also marry what they did not want. Meaning maybe the father didn't have financial resources. The girl will say, I want a man that has money. Because you saw your mom. What your mom in her energetic said, this aspect, I'm not going to repeat this. She transferred that story to you. So you find girls that now make a decision. Most women or girls, young adults, female, that usually make a decision to marry somebody that has financial resources. It's because they are trying to avoid something. Because it's not natural to be making a choice because of financial resources. It's not. It's because they are trying to avoid a pain they've seen a financial struggle. And they're saying they will never struggle that way. That's why many women take up a personality and say, listen, I'm only looking for a man that will treat me this way, have these resources. That's my transaction. Whether he loves, he doesn't love. Because their mom could have married for love. She didn't marry for finances. They saw a struggle. She loved the man, but they said, you didn't make a smart choice. That's what their conclusion will be, unwise. So they will now flip it They can marry for money, not marry for love. But halfway there, they will now say, oh, love really matters. You see the next generation try to correct that stuff. Just giving you examples. So let's open it for discussion, because there's another part of family of origin we will cover. Then before I now give strategies, let's bring everybody up.